In the wreckage of Rongjiang stands a haunting question. How do you rebuild something the world never truly saw? The cameras will leave, the headlines will fade, but for the people here, this wasn't a story. It was their lives, their children, their dreams. And unless things change, this won't be the last. International aid arrived. Tents, food, water filters. But recovery isn't just bricks and bags of rice. It's trust, it's safety, it's belief that next time someone will care enough to prevent the flood before it starts. A local volunteer said it best. This flood will end, but the fear will stay. At sunset, villagers gathered around a single battery-powered radio. Each crackle carried names: the rescued, the missing, the dead. Some cried when they heard a friend's name. Others just sat in silence, eyes on the horizon, waiting, praying. The sounds of children, once laughter, became whispers. They now ask questions parents can't answer. When can we go home? And no one knows. When the waters receded, they left behind rot, silence, and sorrow. Children built toys from debris, broken bricks, bottle caps, and wet wood. Parents dug through sludge for family photos. In every home, the same smell: mold, sewage, loss. Mei Lin, a retired teacher, stood in her ruined home. Her bookshelf, decades of journals, memories, lessons, was a soggy pile in the corner. "I didn't just lose things," she said. "I lost time." Experts warned for years. Climate change is making monsoon floods faster, deadlier, and more unpredictable. But that's only half the story. What turned this storm into tragedy was crumbling infrastructure, unchecked development, and political indifference. China had spent billions on flood prevention. But in towns like Rongjiang, dikes cracked, alarms failed, and safety promises vanished in muddy water. Residents began asking, how many more floods will it take before we matter? Rongjiang had been growing. New roads, local tourism, youth sports leagues, cafes, all of it gone. Business signs hung upside down, storefronts turned to aquariums, trees uprooted, lodged into buildings like spears. Residents watched not just their homes but their future wash away. "The worst thing isn't the flood," one man said. "It's realizing we were never prepared. Not after last year, not after the year before." The government ordered mass evacuations. More than 400,000 people were forced to flee in under 48 hours. Schools became shelters, hillsides became homes. Families lit fires on rooftops, hoping for helicopters. Food ran short. Cell signals disappeared. Bridges collapsed. Roads turned to mud. Entire districts were cut off from the outside world. And in some cases, even emergency teams couldn't reach them. In one haunting moment, A football stadium, a local symbol of pride, was completely submerged. Only the goalposts remained, like bones rising from a battlefield. Officials called it a once-in-50-years flood, but survivors weren't convinced. In the days before disaster, several reservoirs upstream had quietly released water, adding immense pressure to rivers already bloated by rain. Reports showed little public notice, and when emergency warnings were finally issued, it was too late. Former provincial judge Lin Xiaolong didn't mince words. This wasn't just nature. This was corruption, neglect, poor planning. You can't keep blaming the rain when the systems meant to protect us fail year after year. In Rongjiang County, local pharmacy owner Ying Hua stood outside her destroyed shop, mud smeared across her face. "It wasn't just the medicines that drowned," she whispered. "It was 17 years of work. My daughter learned to walk behind that counter." Tears mixed with rainwater. "How do I start again?" Around her, storefronts were gutted. Refrigerators floated sideways, documents scattered in puddles, and somewhere upstream, bodies tangled in branches drifted silently past. Stories ended without a final word. Xiao Tang Yuan, a schoolteacher, parked her car in her building's underground garage when she heard an unnatural hum, like the ground itself was holding its breath. She barely escaped. Moments later, the entire garage was submerged. Her 6-year-old vehicle disappeared into the murky abyss. Elsewhere, videos showed families clinging to balconies, waving desperately for help. Some rooftops held dozens of people, elderly, children, and pets, huddled in silence, watching their lives drown beneath them. The flood didn't just take homes, it shattered reality. In the mountainous provinces of Guizhou, residents of towns like Rongjiang and Laishan watched in disbelief as their streets morphed into rapids. Witnesses say the flood came without mercy. 1 minute, life was normal. The next, entire blocks were underwater. Cars floated like paper boats. Concrete walls cracked under pressure. Small rivers surged into 4th-story windows. Schools, homes, hospitals, all swallowed in a brown, unrelenting tide. There were no sirens, no time, just instinct. Run, climb, pray. It started as a whisper of thunder. Just another rainy season, they thought. A drizzle on rooftops, the kind of afternoon where mothers brew tea and children chase puddles in alleyways. But then, the whisper became a roar, and within hours, what had once been life-giving rain transformed into a monstrous force. A tidal assault that tore through valleys, villages, homes, and hearts, over 680,000 people would be displaced, and China would face one of the worst infrastructure collapses in modern memory.